Welcome to NFL Daily, where we're ready to have a dialogue about a conversation. I'm Gregg Rosenthal, here in the Chris Wesleyan podcast studio with Patrick Claybon and Jourdan Rodrigue. It's preview day.
It's preview day!
What is that dialogue going to be about, Patrick?
That dialogue, that conversation is going to be about the conversation and dialogue that leads to the farcical nature of the MVP award.
Oh.
And I think we should start that dialogue on Sunday, Greg.
Okay, so that's a good tease.
Yeah.
Where we start deciding who is in the conversation and then boot them out.
While also
a little early.
While also highlighting how, insane of an idea that is, but we need to do it.
My thing, it was more in terms of the conversation. It's like everyone can't be part of the conversation. It's also so early, it is meaningless. Let's see what's up around 10 or 11 or 12 weeks. But this show, I try to make it a democracy. So I think we should have this. We should have this show starting on Sunday.
I'm into it. I love
Yes!
I love a conversation.
Okay.
Not a full show.
Me and Patrick were geeking out over all the ways we could have said conversation.
There's a lot of people that would be in it. We'll talk about a lot of them today. If you weren't with us last week, we changed the game and we broke it up between early games and then late games and primetime games. And it was a popular change. So
Yes.
it is sticky.
Yeah.
And I
felt
got to
good.
say, for once, I think the early slate is better overall. It's pretty spicy this week. It's the best one we've had in a few weeks.
I think they're all beautiful.
We had a statistically significant number of blowouts last week, so hopefully the early and late do look better than they did in Week 8. Let's get to the beginning here. The Minnesota Vikings with J.J. McCarthy going on the road to take on the Detroit Lions and that Legion of Whom in the secondary. I love that nickname. The Lions favored by 8.5 points. The over-under is 48.5. Kevin Burkhardt and Tom Brady will be there to see this game. How do the Vikings look with J.J., Greg?
That's an impossible question to answer. I listened to Kevin O'Connell on the way into work. I thought he was not reflective exactly, but much more understanding with the media in terms of all their questions of what happened to Carson Wentz. And he's ready to move forward. The problem is the maybe number one story of the season is the Lions defense. I actually think it might be the most important thing we learned in the entire first 8 weeks of the season, and that the Lions defense looks Super Bowl worthy in a way that I didn't expect. And this week I tried to dive deep and figure it out with the numbers and players and everything. And I don't think there's that much special sauce to it other than basics. They have the fewest penalties in the league, for instance. They are one of the best tackling teams in the league. So they're pretty mid-range in terms of blitz. Obviously, Aiden Hutchinson, who became the richest, according to guarantees, non-quarterback in the NFL on Wednesday, is a huge, huge part of it as big a difference maker as you could ever hope for coming off of an injury. But other than that, I think it's just good fundamental play. And maybe I should have led with Hutch because that's a big deal, signing that big of a contract this early in the contract because he had a year and a half left to go.
Yeah, it's incredible the amount of money the Detroit Lions have, not all of it guaranteed, but have at least dedicated to their core of this team. It's almost $1 billion. And I just think it shows, again, when they believe in their guys. And Brad Holmes, he signs guys this way, he drafts this way. When they believe in their guys, they go all in on their core. And I just think that not only is this really a cool thing for Aiden Hutchinson after everything he came back from injury-wise, and you could tell so much of what he's done this year has been so emotional for him in returning, especially playing at home in front of those fans who, you've mentioned this before, Greg, are an extension of that defense in a big way and are legitimately a factor and an edge. All this energy in this group feeds off of each other. And I think having that emotional lift and then that commitment to Aiden Hutchinson says a lot about where this team is.
Would we have a Defensive Player of the Year conversation as part of this? Because I feel like he's in the conversation.
But
why am I doing it now?
Well, yeah, you're doing it.
We got him.
The most important part of the conversation that we were going to have is to highlight the absurdity of the conversation.
Okay.
But I also think about the Aiden Hutchinson deal is a signal to a lot of players and teams around the league that it's not against the rules to do this. You can sign the guy and it's not violating some sort of prime directive. I understand that people are reluctant to give money early on, but you can save yourself some consternation and drama and maybe
Also, you can do it during the season.
Yeah.
Remember, wasn't that the whole thing with Bengals? Well, they don't like negotiating during the season. It's like, well, why not?
What else are you doing? These guys have to play football during the season.
They're busy, okay?
That's a conversation you can have. How much money would you like to make? Oh, this much? Oh, okay, here's this. But I think, right, when looking back at what Kelvin Shepard and this defense have done in the past few weeks, like maybe, I don't know, like am I looking at Jake Browning a little bit differently after what the Lions did to him? Like, is it Baker falling off, or was that just this Lions defense causing all sorts of problems to a hurt team? Like they continue to do this, and I'm worried because the now I'm doing it again too. The JJ McCarthy conversation has just been this everlasting. Oh, Carson Wentz is bad. How bad is JJ McCarthy? Like let the guy start a few games, but now he has to do it against this defense that has so many different looks. It's so good in man coverage where I'm concerned.
And they're getting healthier too. Terrion Arnold was back fully practicing. Avante Maddox was also back, which he's plays starter snaps for them. Taylor Decker is expected to play. Brian Branch is back from suspension, and they say is even more motivated than ever. I know you're excited about that. Not so sure about Kirby Joseph, but either way, overall, good news for the Lions defense. And what, is going to be tricky. We'll see how the Vikings are up front. Brian O'Neill, Christian Darrisaw weren't out there when we last saw them, and Ryan Kelly will be out for this game, still on injured reserve. And that's a huge problem if they don't have their guys back.
Yeah, the Lions can rush 4 and have all season, and certainly it's being more effective than ever, especially with Aiden Hutchinson playing at this level. And it also has allowed them, to your point, Greg, to play more man coverage, even as decimated as they were and getting healthier now, but as decimated as they were in the secondary. To me, that's, first of all, that's players buying in, and obviously the players go out and execute and do all of that. But that's really good coaching to me, too, is being able to stay that aggressive, not having to take your foot off the gas pedal and play outside of your specific identity. That's good coaching. That's player buy-in, and Kelvin Shepard has done an incredible job. I think it's one of the hardest places for a quarterback to play in general. And then this is a rookie who's had, or a second-year player, but might as well be a rookie, who's had one outstanding gamer quarter, right? And then has been really up and down otherwise. And coming off a high ankle sprain and coming off a lot of drama around the team and the flip-flopping of the quarterback. And there's not someone behind Max Brosner to even be an emergency quarterback. I mean, it is the stakes are extremely high for JJ McCarthy in this game, for Kevin O'Connell, and for the entire team building infrastructure of what
they did sign. Your boy though, the Wolf Pack is back.
The Wolf Pack is
John Wolford. Let's go. But Kevin O'Connell did say it's going to be Brosmer as the backup.
That's true. I actually missed that. That's awesome news. I think that's great. Kevin O'Connell and John Wolford are very similar people, I think.
They're back together again. And reading between the lines, it does sound like Darrisaw and O'Neill could be back for this game. The problem with Darrisaw is, and this is why it's such a gift that Aiden Hutchinson is playing so well, is he hasn't looked all the way back necessarily. He's been struggling to get through games, maybe not who he is exactly. And they need everything they get. This is as tough a matchup as possible because Dan Campbell kind of owns Kevin O'Connell. Oh. That's a problem when you're in a division against a team that you can't beat, and the Lions have won this game 5 straight times, including one time where it was during that late season surge where the Lions were climbing out from under 500, and the Vikings were very good that year. They beat them then too, and they've swept them the last couple of years. Most of the games have been close. It was not close, if you remember, in Week 18 last year in a big spot. And I think it's partly because Jared Goff in this offense picks on the middle of the field, and the Vikings defense, which does so many things, hasn't really slowed down Jared Goff in this running game over the years.
Yeah, still blitzing at a very, very high rate, but in terms of generating pressure when they blitz, they're number 12 there. We're used to seeing them the top 2 or 3, and you start to wonder, is this like veteran defense with Brian Flores where they have all these different looks? Have people gotten enough looks at it at this point with this particular group of players, or is age making its way into the circumstances where you start to wonder? Here's the week for it. 8.5 point favorites for the Lions.
Man, you got to win. They need number. Vikings really need to win.
I think part of it's they're allowing so many explosive plays up front on defense, the explosive run plays specifically. They invested in this defensive line. We mentioned this. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. This is a problem. The Lions are not only explosive in the run game, but they're fast in the run game. This is, if they can run the ball effectively against this Vikings group, they are in trouble.
Yeah. One last note on those contracts from our expert producer / former researcher, Drew Christensen. The Lions have made 22 contract extensions since 2024. one of only 2 teams to have more than 15. Them and the Texans are far and away the teams that have locked up a young core for the long term more than anyone. And yeah, some huge money deals in there.
Yeah, congratulations again to Aiden Hutchinson. Well deserved. Great comeback season for the Edge in Detroit. Let's go to another comeback team. The Indianapolis Colts are 3-point favorites on the road at Pittsburgh. The over-under is 50.5. Ian Eagle and J.J. Watt there on the call. Steelers coming off of a loss in the Rodgers revenge game. Dimes and Company just coming off of still being good, Jourdan. Another win for Dimes and Company, do you feel?
Yes. First and foremost, yes.
Thank you, Yoda.
Because do you feel? Because
when do you feel?
That's the conversation. Because the Colts offense is a freaking wagon. And the Steelers defense is old and slow, and they're allowing a lot of missed tackles, and they're not containing, and they're not creating plays, and they can't rush the quarterback, and they can't, it's all these things that we expected them to do. Greg, I'm ranting on your behalf because I know you got a good rant out earlier this week about the Steelers defense and the amount of money committed to it, which is absolutely astounding relative to its production. This is a mismatch game all over the field. You need probably Jalen Ramsey's best game as a slot defender to combat not only Tyler Warren as a mismatch in the passing game, but also Jonathan Taylor in the run game and how they can use him, not just running it right up the gut or some of these middle and outside zone runs, but also if they start to use him in the screen game as a catch and run player, understanding that the Steelers have been vulnerable in preventing explosives that way.
I do think it's a big time mismatch when the Colts have the ball, and we'll get to the Steelers, who, I'm not just chalking this up as a win necessarily for the Colts, but when the Colts do have the ball, it just feels like one of the most dynamic offenses in the league. And by dynamic, I mean it's just so flexible and can change on a play-to-play, snap-to-snap, series-to-series basis versus one of the most inflexible defenses in the league. And so that's a problem. And the offensive line for the Colts, who's just been maybe the best in the league, it is a big-time, step up Steelers up front type of game, especially in the running game. Show who you are, because there are great players there. And I can't wait to watch this game. I might have to take this game.
There he goes.
Might have to take this game.
You should take it.
Okay.
Watch that beloved Steelers defense that you enjoy seeing going over his Daniel Jones, because 3 players in the Super Bowl era have had 100 passer rating in each of their first 8 games of the season. One of them is Daniel Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Any guesses on who?
Kurt Warner.
No. 2 MVP seasons.
2 MVP seasons exactly.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson.
No.
Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers.
he set us
in 2011 and Tom Brady in 2007. That's the type of company that Dimes has right now. And I'm sorry to Mr. Jones for doubting you at the start of the season. I will apologize every week if I have to, because he's been so good, especially on the run. And the Steelers defense, as you guys have both noted, the athleticism has started to become an issue. And if Tucker Kraft had that game, I cannot imagine what Tyler Warren does against this defense.
Steichen breaks out the good stuff for Tyler Warren. I feel like when he's at home and he's just
got a glass of cab.
Yeah, exactly. And he's like, all right, what do I really do? It's always for Warren.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, Warren's great, but every time he catches the ball,
he's sitting in a massage chair.
Yeah, there's 25 yards of space. It's amazing.
It's incredible. And you're watching, if you're Shane Steichen and that offensive staff, and if you're Daniel Jones and if you're Tyler Warren, you are watching what Tucker Kraft did, and you are just licking your chops at this point, because it is copyable. Now, I know there was a lot of back and forth among Packers fans and Steelers fans earlier in the week about, Jordan Love, and he was just getting the ball, and it was yak plays, and Tucker, okay, fine, great, love that for him, awesome. Daniel Jones can do the same thing, should do the same thing, and similar to what Jordan Love did when he was throwing the ball down the field, he's got guys who can go up and get it on the perimeter as well. So they're going to attack space. And particularly, I thought, Greg, you brought up a really good point earlier this week when you were ranting about the Steelers.
Let's go. Defense. That's a win for me. We don't have games, so that's the most I can get.
You did make a good point when you were talking about how well other teams seem to know Mike Tomlin's defensive rules and how inflexible it's been in terms of changing. There are some coaches who can get away with that because their dudes are better than your dudes. Robert Saleh is a great example of this. A lot of coaches, offensive coaches, know his defensive rules because he's been coaching so long, but his dudes are usually going to play better than your dudes, are often going to play better than your dudes. Mike Tomlin's been able to get away with this. But if you know somebody's defensive rules and you are an offensive-minded coach, you can start exploiting space and using those rules against them. And you can scheme up mismatches, and you can start exploiting all of the voids on the field where you know they aren't going to be because the rules of the defense dictate they don't cover certain things in certain ways, or their drops aren't yay deep, or their rushes are a certain way. This is such a mismatch game from the playbook onto the field in terms of the Colts offense and the Steelers defense. And I would like to see more from the Steelers defense. They do have dudes.
I feel like we're walking into a trap too.
We totally are.
They're gonna play well. And one of the reasons why I think they have a real chance in this game is, can the Steelers push around the Colts defense a little bit? I think the path is there. You look beneath the hood on some of the Colts defensive numbers, and they struggled to get off the field. They are actually dead last in the entire NFL in plays per drive allowed, which is it's an odd stat.
Bend don't break.
Exactly. And they've made it work with good red zone defense and with a lot of turnovers. And DeForest Buckner is playing outstanding right now. He's on a heater. They also got Kenny Moore back a couple weeks ago. They are a different defense when Kenny Moore is out there. So that's all helpful. But I think that the recipe to beat them would be to lean on them up front. And who better to lean on them with than Darnell Washington and this big front and a pretty good offense. Jaylen Warren, like Jonathan Taylor, put him in the, as the All-Pro. Jaylen Warren might be a Pro Bowl running back right now. And so I think the Steelers could go on some long drives, and maybe they just need to finish them a little bit.
I agree. Jaylen Warren is a Pro Bowl running back right now. He is in the Pro Bowl, Greg.
He's in the Pro Bowl conversation.
Oh, God.
Forcing missed tackles.
We're going to wear this out before we ever get to this episode.
Let's do it. I mean, it's only on Sunday, so we're going to have to do some work here on this show. Let's get to a team coming off of a win at home. They will have to go on the road. The Denver Broncos just beat Dallas. Now they go to... who are the Houston Texans? They're at home. They're 1.5-point favorites, fresh off of causing Mac Jones all kinds of problems on Sunday. The over-under is 39.5 points. Kevin Kugler and Moose Johnston on the call. Greg, which version of the Texans will play on this football game?
See, I want this game too. I expect, until I see otherwise.
But remember, the show's a democracy, Patrick.
No, I mean, I can't. I'm not going to take them both. They're the two of the better ones early, so you can't have them all. Got to spread it around. I guess I got to trust that the Texans offense from the first 6 weeks and all of last season is closer to what we'll see because of the opponent. I keep talking about like so much of, especially defensive ratings, I think are based on who you've played. Hello, Carolina Panthers. Like I have to see it. Houston stand up against a really good four-man pass rush and a really creative, blitz package and everything. There's a reason why the Broncos have not just the most pressure in the league in terms of percentage. I think it's 46%. No one else is even over 40. Like they are far and away the best, and they're not blitzing quite as much as they used to. And so I think the route for them to win this game is to keep improving in terms of their running game and Woody Marks. That has looked better, the extra offensive lineman, and just win a defensive game. I mean, that's how this team is built. And I think they could potentially do it that way.
Using Woody Marks in the passing game as well. They haven't had a ton of trust in him early on. Picking up some of those protections and some of that pressure that you have to do as a running back is pretty tough to do as a young player. But he's gaining confidence there, and he had a big catch and run that it was one of their few explosive plays they've had all season, and it really kicked off and opened the floodgates for the Texans offense last week. None of this matters. Nothing matters on either side of the ball for either team if the Broncos cannot get pressure, which I believe they will, against the Texans. And everything for the Texans offense to actually look like it did last week hinges on how much pressure they are allowing. CJ Stroud was only pressured 6 times last week, and it was not good pressure. They barely hit him.
And yet when I watched that game, I felt worse about them actually, because I was like, man, they had to make some incredible plays, because it came down to me, CJ hitting
I disagree.
difficult throws and a ton of missed tackles. Like Braxton Berrios just in the first drive alone, like making diving plays, making outstanding individual plays where, yes, they set it up with but that's last week. I don't think there's almost any carryover to it anyways.
I actually disagree with you, because they got some of their timing offense going too, and CJ Stroud was able to throw in rhythm and on time. Now that is something that bodes well for the future. And yes, they had to make low probability plays,
There's like a
especially
ton of missed tackles and like breaking through players.
yeah, especially with that receivers group that they're not quite all used to each other yet. They were trying to go for yak plays against a pretty embattled 49ers defense. They won't be able to do the same thing against this Broncos defense even without Pat Surtain. This is a really, really talented defense. And so to me, I did see enough of the Texans to offense to build on, especially because, like I mentioned, they were able to get that timing and that rhythm passing game going. And yes, some of the downfield shots, especially, and some of the low probability plays that were made, they were there. They were open. They were schemed to be made. And in the first half, CJ Stroud did miss a couple of those throws, and he hit them in the second half. So I do think that that's a big factor. But again, he wasn't pressured. So that's the hinge point for all of it.
And that's the difference in this Texans offense, because it's a lot like both offenses in the state of Texas, right? Dak's going to have those low completion percentage throws that he's had for years, and CJ Stroud also does that as well, where it's the way that the offense is structured and the way the quarterback plays, where they take those chances when they get clean pockets to throw from, except the variance there when Dak has, things are a little muddied, he can still be successful, not like he was against the Denver Broncos where things went absolutely left. And that was for an offense that was playing well. And now you're asking this Texans line where it's like there's been 2 or 3 games this year where CJ looks great and he's, arms crossed, celebrating as guys go in the end zone and everything looks good. But when things do get difficult, the offense completely falls apart, and it's kind of what I expect to happen.
But so does Bo Nix. That's the good thing. Okay, so Bo Nix this year against pressure. Now he faces the least amount of pressure in the league. Like last week for CJ was every week for Bo Nix, and that's key. But by far the least amount of pressure. And that's partly because of the scheme, too. It gets the ball out of his hands quickly.
He's got a good line.
But he's got a great line, and it's a big test for Garrett Bowles. And, on the right side, like Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter just have to have, a massive game. When Bo Nix is pressured, only 2 quarterbacks in the league have a lower yards per attempt than Bo Nix. And that's Jake Browning, who's long gone, and Russell Wilson, who's long gone. They still barely qualify in terms of these stats. So if you can get pressure on Bo Nix, it just hasn't worked this year. He's coming off his best game of the season.
By far.
Like they should feel confident, but that was a game. Again, he's proven in this scheme with all the weapons that they have that he'll make it happen. Against this Texans defense, though, like they're a defense first team. Like Will Anderson wants to be in a conversation at the end of the year, by the way. Like these are the types of games they just have to be absolutely special and just shut them down.
I think what's something that doesn't bode well for the way that this, I almost said Saints, but the way that this Broncos offense kind of operates, especially with Bo Nix and Sean Payton as collaborators here, and it's probably, I think, a benefit for the Texans defense with how aggressive they play and how frequently they are able to make plays on the ball, is he's throwing short of the sticks on over half of his third downs. And this Texans defense, they jump routes, they're super sticky and aggressive in coverage, and they will play tighter than you want to be played, right? And
good point.
And I just think that that's a huge swing point of this game, because the Texans have had to score points on defense to win some of these games because the offense has looked so bad in spurts and flashes. So I do think that this is where one of the hinge points is.
Looking forward to it.
Jalen Petrie, maybe All-Pro right now? Would he be your best nickel in the NFL? He might be my choice.
We can have a conversation.
Yeah, we absolutely could. I'm looking forward to this one. Nico Collins should be back, and so they're kind of figuring out what their, I think, offense is going to look like. I think it's going to be a lot of Jalen Noel, a lot of Nico. You got Xavier Hutchinson, maybe a little, less of Jaden Higgins and Woody Marks in the mix. They got a chance. I'm looking forward to this one. Let's take a break. And yes, we got more good games in the early slate. For once, the early slate came through. Back at NFL Daily. Just feel like the air has been let out of the Bengals balloon over the last handful of days. But you know what? As we learned with that Pittsburgh win, like it just takes one win to just flip it right back around. The question, though, with this Bengals-Bears game is, will Joe Flacco be available? I didn't realize that was going to be such a serious question, but let's listen to Zach Taylor talking about Joe Flacco's injury.
He wants to play in the game, and so kudos to him, man. He's been here 3 weeks. He wants to play. I hate speaking for him, but that's what he's told me. We'll have to work through the week to see if that's able to do that. It's a throwing shoulder. It's painful.
Does he need the reps at all? Or is this
I mean, you've seen what he's done.
Sure.
Came in, played on a Thursday, after 3 days of practice. So I think if anybody in this league can get by with minimal reps right now, it's him.
It's an AC joint sprain in his throwing arm. We've seen quarterbacks have those over the years. It's tricky. At another point, Zach Taylor said it would be 50-50 if Flacco played.
50-50. And that's at
Just
this
give
point.
him a chance.
On Wednesday. Well, he wants to play. And our friends at Spotrac or Spotrac note in that contract that $75K for every win that Joe Flacco starts. So I would want to play as well against the Chicago Bears, who are 3-point favorites, Jourdan, against Joe Flacco's Cincinnati Bengals. The over-under is 51.5. Spiro Ditas, Adam Archuleta there for the call. Are we going to see a better version of the Chicago Bears offense against a defense that has been rough?
And the sky would be falling in Chicago if, that market, if they don't see a better or at least a more complete and consistent version of this offense, because we see it in spurts and fits that this offense really can be something and can do something. This Bengals defense, it either implodes right away or it's a slow implosion that is sort of happening over the course of a game like it did last week. And I would really expect the Bears to play better than they have, or at least more consistently, because I think the ideas are there and I think the players know what they're supposed to do. The penalties keep setting them back. They are leading the league in penalties and penalty yards against them. And I think it all starts with running the ball. Yes, by the way, you can run the ball against the Cincinnati Bengals defense because they are averaging they're not just one of the worst in terms of yards allowed in the NFL. They're also allowing themselves to be blocked out of the play on yards before contact at the 6th highest frequency in the NFL right now, which is not good.
I'm surprised it's not higher. That tape last week, I finally got to it watching that Bengals-Jets game. That was a game that is part of a season that gets an entire regime fired. That was a fiasco. If that had been on like a primetime game, it was crazy. And they're playing these two linebackers, rookies, Barrett Carter and Demetrius Knight at linebacker, and it is just not going well.
Yeah, they've benched a couple of guys at the position.
I mean, but they don't have any choices. Like they benched Logan Wilson, he came back in, he struggled. Those two guys are out there basically every snap, and they are getting picked on. And I think Ben Johnson and this Bears offense can be good at like targeting a weakness on the opposing team. And you don't have to worry about the pass rush because Trey Hendrickson's still hurt. Shamar Stewart, I went and checked, does not have a QB hit or a sack this year. I think he has 3 total pressures. There's leaks everywhere, but to me, it's like coaching and lack of talent. Like it's all bad.
And we see the coaching increase when we've discussed Ben Johnson and what this Bears team has done since the bye. They have 14 explosive runs since the bye. That's far and away the most in the NFL, and that's since week 5. 183 rushing yards a game, and considering what Breece Hall and Davis, the backup, did against this Bengals defense last week, it's just hard to not see a scenario where Chicago scores a whole lot of points in this matchup.
The recipe is that Joe Flacco plays close to what he's played lately, which is incredible, by the way. I can't believe how well he's playing. I think people are getting a little lost. It's like, oh, Joe Flacco, he's turning back the clock, playing this well. Did he play this well normally?
He's never played this well.
No.
Other than the hottest streak in postseason history.
It's those solo dinners, man.
They're
really doing wonders for him.
At the very least, he is at his level where he was during the peak of his career, which is incredible. He was fantastic last week. Their offense is kind of a wagon right now in terms of rushing success rate and efficiency. They've been one of the best teams in the league the last 3 weeks out of nowhere after being the worst team in the league. So this Bears defense has its share of problems. And start the clock. I don't know if we have a sound effect or anything. CD Deuce is back in the league. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson.
So are we starting the clock for him and DA to have a very passionate conversation?
I love that they're back together. Strange bedfellows. Dennis Allen, who once traded, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson because
But that's the thing. That's his pattern. He goes back to teams and people that know him. He cycles through these different defensive coaches and teammates that know him well, and then you start the clock.
Yeah,
We've all had relationships that like had to end, but man, there was a lot of good stuff to it. So you come back.
Backslide.
break in case of safety emergency, and then you go to the Super Bowl. Oddly enough, like that's
all right.
That's the method. We're CJGJ.
I don't know if I could see that happening, but I could see like the Bengals really doing well if Flacco plays, because it's been a little lost that the Bears are down their top three cornerbacks. Kyler Gordon was put back on injured reserve. Jalen Johnson has been out. Like, they have major injuries. I just did want to point out, it is a revenge game, quietly. Do we remember how Zach Taylor got in the league? Like, people would get on him a little bit because he was
friends with Sean McVay.
No, Mike Sherman's son-in-law.
Oh.
That's how he.
Other way people.
Yeah, he was Mike Sherman's son-in-law. He was on that team, and then Mike Sherman was at Texas A&M, and then Zach Taylor brought him to Miami. This was a little highlighted because he was on Hard Knocks and everything, and he ended up being the quarterbacks coach with the Dolphins for a long time. You know who was his assistant quarterbacks coach, who he elevated over and became the offensive coordinator? Ben Johnson. So it's like, Ben Johnson, you were just handed everything on a silver spoon. I'm going to take it out on you, Zach Taylor.
You know what's kind of wild?
They're probably friends.
He
I don't
wasn't.
Really know.
I mean, it seems like a lot of people are friends with Zach Taylor, but it's interesting because it wasn't a burn. I think it's true. It wasn't a burn. I think it's true.
I think it's kind of like a sneaky way to explain his career, though. Just people like him.
No, Zach Taylor. Jourdan has the high ground.
Cracking up over here. No, it's like I recall back to, I don't think this was about him, but Ben Johnson's opening press conference when he took the job, he's like, I basically want to beat all the Nepo babies in the league. That's paraphrasing. That's basically what he said.
Zeroed in, target locked on Zach Taylor. The Bears are going to score 50 points.
Let's go.
Run it up. Dan Campbell style. Let's get to another, talking about Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah.
The Atlanta Falcons, no, not them, are on the road at the New England Patriots. Gregg Rosenthal, the Patriots are favored by 5.5 points. The over-under is 44.5. We do think Michael Penix Jr. will be back, hopefully, for Falcons fans. It was not the best Cousins outing. Andrew Catalon, our good friend Charles Davis, and Jason McCourty are there. Can anything slow down the New England Patriots of 2025, Greg?
Yeah, I think this Falcons defense has shown that they can cook up specific game plans that'll confuse you, and the offensive line communication for the Patriots hasn't been great. Drake May, I think, is taking the 5th most amount of pressure in the league, which,
Did those numbers go up because they played arguably one of the top 3 defensive players of our era last week?
They certainly went up. And actually, the Falcons have been continuing to blitz a ton all season, and it's kind of stopped working the last couple weeks. They really have not been able to pressure either the 49ers or the Miami Dolphins. So do the Patriots have like a good short game type of answer? Because I really thought Raheem Morris got outcoached a little bit by what Tua and Mike McDaniel wanted to do last week. That isn't really Drake May's game. He likes to hold the ball a little bit. He likes to invite that pressure before he tries to make a play.
Yeah, I think this could be another pretty cool Drake May game. I want to ask you your opinion, actually. You're more plugged in, I think, to that. Well, certainly to that team, but also to that market, I think, and some of the reporting out there. Ramondre Stevenson was not at practice on Wednesday.
Oh.
So kind of wondering what your instant reaction to that is.
Well, it wouldn't be anything until I saw the report that the Patriots are looking for running back help from Mike Reese at ESPN. In the trade market, they wanted edge help and running back help. And I'm thinking, I mean, they're pretty... Ramondre and Travion Henderson, you would think that would not be a primary position. So
I didn't know if there was like an injury that we hadn't seen or something that hadn't been reported yet, or if you've heard of anything, or if maybe he's on the block. I mean, I don't know if they're, but then that report kind of...
He's been playing well though.
Yeah, but that report kind of counteracts it. They seem to want to put Travion Henderson on the field a little bit more, which I agree with.
And he played great until then he lost the fumble right at the end of that game. So I was thinking...
What's a Patriots game without a lost fumble, though? It's becoming a tradition.
I was thinking that was a big step forward from him last week. He had some good pass pro reps. My most obvious reason I'm a Patriots fan is that I check the Travion Henderson pass pro reps every week. And because I do want him to play more.
Obvious tell?
I'm just saying.
It is that pass pro reps are a little bit of sickness.
Well, because I want to just see him like on the field, and it's very easy to do. There's like 7 of them every week, and they had been going poorly, and they went great last week. They made a couple trades. We should do the news portion of the show. Keon White, a 2nd-round pick who through 2 weeks last year, I believe was leading the NFL in sacks. Little known stat. I think 4 sacks through 2 weeks last year, was traded to San Francisco. And Kyle Duggar, their safety, who got a huge contract almost immediately after their supposed personnel chief, Elliot Wolf, arrived in New England, was traded to the Steelers, both of them essentially for nothing, for 6th and 7th round pick swaps. So just they moved up 1 round from the 7th to the 6th. It was basically they just gave them away. So there's 2 former Patriots on that Steelers safety group. With Jabril Peppers, who started out the season there too. I don't know. It's weird.
It is weird to be sellers
just giving away guys
while you're leading the division. Where it's
Keon White, I get he was down to being a healthy scratch, and I think it was something where he was not. He was passed by Claybon Chason in camp, and it just didn't seem like that was working with Mike Vrabel. Kyle Duggar, by all accounts, was like accepted his demotion. He was out there for 15, 20 stuff. They have like 2 safeties on the roster. I don't get it. They're just getting rid of all the Belichick guys.
White
except
had
for Marcus Jones.
White had 4 sacks in those games you mentioned.
Yeah.
In the other 32, he has 2.
Yeah, he's a guy who's a pretty good interior rusher. I love that trade for the 49ers. I mean, it probably only has like a 30% chance of mattering that much, but if you use him as an interior rusher, he could be fun. We should get back to this game. Should we give the Falcons any chance here at responding? Because I really do. They seem like a 4-4 type of team. You know, this is how I pick games sometimes. I gotta say, the Patriots, what are they right now? 6-2? They seem more like a 6-3
What do you mean?
type.
What are they right now?
Well, I just forgot if they had a bye or not. This does seem like a game to pick the Falcons just for that, because they seem like a 4-4 team, and the Patriots seem more like a 6-3 team. How about that?
They're just so frustrating to me because they are so mercurial, and you see an identity start to emerge from them one week, and then it's completely gone or easily sniffed out by the opponent, or they're beating their heads against a wall trying to do the same things and getting the same results and not adjusting or evolving. The potential of this defense, especially relative to expectation, is great. The potential of this offense is great. This Atlanta Falcons team is not meeting its potential regularly, and I think that's very concerning. And I don't know if I would pick them in any game moving forward.
Dang.
They're gonna win some games, but I don't trust this team at all.
They're power hitting on both sides.
Yeah.
And there's high variance with that blitz rate, and also with the number of plays where they're stretching guys out, trying to get Bijan to break 6 tackles. They're relying on Kyle Pitts in the flat to get past guys, and seeing Penix fire those slants in to Drake London, where the ball could go the other way, or Drake London could take it. It's just a high variance team where the outcomes could be any number of things. Like if you just watched the game in Charlotte and the game last week against the Dolphins, you think this is one of the worst teams in the NFL. Then we see them against the Bills, the defense in that performance against the Minnesota Vikings, where it's like, okay, like the Falcons are a coin flip.
And then Zach Robinson was asked about it this week, about like, our defense is showing you things you're not ready for. And he said, we've actually been seeing simpler looks than we've been anticipating.
Ooh, what an insult.
Well, which makes it...
Let's find the mirror on that one.
But maybe kind of an insult to his players is like more frustrating for everybody, knowing, hey, we can own these looks. We can anticipate what's coming, but we just have to get it cleaned up. Drake London is expected to be back at practice. They're also talking about that Darnell Mooney's kind of hasn't been himself all the way back from his injury, but they think this week now he's ramped up and he's ready to go. Michael Penix is expected to take the majority of snaps, so that's a good sign. On the other hand, though, like on paper, it's a mismatch when the Falcons are running the ball, which doesn't make sense. The Patriots defense is built to stop the run. They're playing base defense. They're very good stopping the run. They should be vulnerable against the pass. But the Falcons haven't been very good running the ball. They're below average with Bijan Robinson running the ball, 20th in rushing DVOA.
Yeah, it drives me nuts.
Yeah.
It drives me absolutely nuts. We did a segment earlier this week about things we're haunted by, and I almost knew I was going to get too mad if I brought up the Falcons sort of wasting this Bijan Robinson season. I can't stand it. It drives me absolutely nuts.
And now you got to go against Chris Tonga, or I'm not sure how you say
what
that.
you would, if you were
give him a contract.
If you were feeling like persnickety this week, Greg, you could give me this game and that would piss me off. But I kind of want to watch it also. But
I would give it to you. I'd give it to you.
I kind of hate watch it. Although I love what the Patriots are doing right now. So.
Hate watching the Falcons because they drive Jourdan nuts. It drives me nuts. Also, the punchline to one of my favorite pirate jokes. Maybe I'll tell you guys one day. The San Francisco 49ers
What?
are on the road. They're favored by 2.5 points at the New York Giants. The over-under is 48.5. Kevin Harlan and Trent Green are on the call, and it's a sad one because we loved what Cam Scadaboo was doing. The Giants not only have lost Cam Scadaboo, Malik Neighbors, the injuries becoming a whole lot, but they've still got Jackson Dart against a 49ers defense and offense, Greg, that had a weird performance in Houston, still favored by 2.5. How do you see this one going?
Yeah, I was watching that game and wondering, like, is their offensive line becoming a problem? Maybe it's the matchup that'll happen, but they've had people in and out of the lineup. Colton McKivitz was really struggling in that game, and when they try to pass the ball in this game, you do worry about that against this Giants front. But then the answer to that is pretty simple: just don't pass the ball. And I know you're supposed to at some point, but this is the worst running defense in the league by far. Like, the gap between the Giants and 31st is pretty wide right now, so it could be a CMC get right.
I know you were like shocked about the Bengals statistic that they weren't lower, and I was like, but did you forget about the Giants?
They're one of the worst run defenses of the last 20 years. At least right now, they are. It's
Yeah, and I also think that this is another game where to mitigate the pass rush that the Giants do still have available to them, you get the ball out quickly, especially to a mismatched player such as Christian McCaffrey in the screen game and in the little quick outs and the flat, and you ask their defenders to come and tackle, which they don't do well, especially in the second and third level of the defense. They've been so just rolling through these corners and trying different things. They're undermanned there. This front is still a strength in terms of the pass rush for the Giants. I know that there's some weird, I don't want to say weird because but reporting about maybe Kayvon Thibodeau ahead of the trade deadline and just uncertainty throughout the entire group. And that doesn't bode well either, especially when you're coming off of just like the gut punch of losing a player who truly buoyed the entire team, clearly.
Scadaboo is wheeling around the facility on Wednesday, according to Brian Dable.
He can't
How hard
keep
do
him
you
away.
think it is to keep that guy in the chair, honestly? Like, how hard do you think it will be?
Yeah, that will be the hard thing. Is making sure that he adheres to the timeline and doesn't try to go too bananas during his bounce back. But it was nasty to see, but it was great to see. His teammates helping him off the field and the fans in Philly applauding him off the field as well. And the Thibodeau conversation, which Mike Garafolo came out and reported that the team says they have no intention of trading Kayvon Thibodeau. I think that would be a great time, Greg, to do what the Lions did. If you want to keep him so much, go ahead and lock it up.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening. There's so many injuries on this team. You really feel for the Giants. So Jermaine Illuminor, who's been great, has a pec strain. He's not practicing.
He did tell reporters he's going to play this week.
So that's a great sign, but it's much less certain looking negative for Cordell Flott, who's in the concussion protocol. Been their best cornerback. Paulson Adebo is still out of practice. Their other big money cornerback. And so, man, that's just weakness on weakness. Giants, or rather the 49ers need a win here.
Yeah, they do. They're still
Keon White, baby.
They're still creaking back to health. Brock Purdy may or may not play. Kyle Shanahan said it was not a long shot. Now, Cynthia, I think, puts it well in a much more succinct way than I do, but it's really hard sometimes to tell how truthful Kyle Shanahan is.
She calls him the lying liar who lies.
Yeah, she's not.
But she has a personal relationship with him and somehow can get away with that, I believe. I think.
She's also a badass. So
yeah,
either way.
That's for sure.
Yeah. So and then also it's no Brandon Ayuk, which is another problem. They're so decimated in terms of guys who catch the ball for them that I do think it sort of sets up nicely to play to what a current team strength is. Help the line dig in a little bit more. Don't have them pass setting all the time. They had a new center. They've had new centers in and out. Trent Williams looked banged up as well against Houston. So you can solve a lot of problems at once here and sort of get your team dug in a little bit more if you just run the ball.
And I'm wondering if if it was a game plan thing, because the CMC volume had been so high, if Kyle was trying to restrict CMC touches last week, you have to go back to like 2021 Panthers for CMC to have less than 8 carries and 3 catches and 3 targets, I believe, against the Houston Texans. So maybe a little more Christian McCaffrey in this one.
Yeah, and they just need their defense to get off the field. Like, I think this could be a good Jackson Dart fantasy type of game. And Jackson Dart has kind of replaced. Look, Drake May is still like he's all that matters in New England, and that's the case.
And in Los Angeles.
Check.
I kind of feel like for this time of year, the rest of the season, Jackson Dart's all that mattered, and all that matters for the Giants. And I've been really impressed. He's been better than I would have expected, and if he continues along this path, it's going to be like a successful season in my mind for the Giants. If they feel like they found a real franchise quarterback,
successful enough to save the jobs.
I think so. I think if Jackson Dart plays well the rest of the year, it makes sense to keep Brian Dable. That's my opinion.
I think. Well, I think what also keeps Brian Dable and Joe Shane is the fact that they got Jackson Dart. You've seen enough from him at this point to, I think, sort of temper ownership a little bit.
Yeah. You got to keep it going. That's why it's all that matters. We got 8 or 9 weeks to go. But the 49ers have the worst pressure rate of any team in the entire NFL. So he could be protected. Well, let's take one more break before we wrap up the early games of Week 9. The official midpoint of the season is after Monday Night Football, actually. It's 9/18 divided by 9.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Back on NFL Daily. Noticing, looking at this next game, we're going to talk about that G-Reg. Been on a lot of Panthers games this year. Just kind of like Spiro Ditas is the designated Bengals guy. I think they're just staying in Cincinnati. Spiro Ditas and friends.
Yeah, why don't we keep it thematic? And we'll go to Jourdan Rodrigue on the Carolina Panthers at the Green Bay Packers, who are favored, Jourdan, by 13.5 points. The over-under is 44.5. Aforementioned, G-Reg and Adam Amin are on the call. The only thing I think that matters in this game is Bryce going to play? And if so, I feel like that number is way too high.
I think he's going to play. Took all the first team reps this week at practice so far. Got a little good news, bad news sitch happening in Carolina. The good news is they have determined that Rico Dowdle, to my understanding of kind of the reports out of camp or out of practice, will be the lead back. They're not going to go with this very on again, off again, 2-back system.
Frustrating.
That really, I think, limited the maximum potential of each running back. They're a week too late of doing this because the bad news here is that they are missing multiple offensive linemen as they go against the best pure pass rusher in football, maybe ever, in Micah Parsons, and also a very stout Packers front. Oh, they already were missing Brady Christensen because he had the the Achilles. Taylor Moton is questionable. He's been their stalwart right tackle forever. And Cade Mays will not be available. So this is not a great week, never a great week to be missing your line, but having a quarterback coming back from an ankle injury and also facing the Green Bay Packers defensive front.
That's why that number isn't that crazy. And it's interesting. One thing I've learned from Cynthia's model over the years, and I don't think it's all that different from some of the computer models that create these numbers, is offensive line injuries really make the number move. So that could be a factor. And I think it's baking into something that I've thought about, which is I don't think this Panthers team is much better than they have been the last few years. Like, they've found a way to win games against bad teams, and I think that's great. And I think long term, like, we're going to be able to evaluate them. But when they play one of the best teams in the league, like the Packers are, and maybe like the Bills were, last week, I think they're pretty overmatched. They're still like a bottom 6 or 7 team in terms of like just total talent. But it'll be good if Bryce is back.
Well, yeah, it will be. It just, in terms of the way that the Carolina Panthers have been successful, is moving the ball, running the ball successfully, having key 4th down conversions in all of those wins, to an extent that I think managing to get that 13.5 point gap becomes a little bit different because of the time involved. And the Packers' propensity to run the ball as well is the reason, again, I'm not confident that the Panthers would win the game. I just the number feels like it's tilted a little bit more, especially when the Packers, one of the more willing to run teams, despite the way that they can be explosive in the pass game. They stay committed to it. Josh Jacobs has been very effective in the run game, and the Panthers, honestly, we celebrated the growth and the shift and the ability to stop the run. The Bills exposed one thing with the gaps, and it was not fixed over the course of the game. James Cook would still be running if not for the end zone being the limit to where the plays end.
I do think about that sequence in the offseason where they thought they were getting Milton Williams, and they ended up signing Tershawn Wharton sort of as a consolation prize and gave him a lot of money, and he's struggled so far for the Panthers. So that change has not worked, and yet you're going up against the quarterback who, more than any other, is asking the people in this room, why am I not on quarterback island
Exactly.
again?
He's not asking me.
I'm first in the
Time to have a
NFL
conversation.
in EPA per
I'm not
dropback.
involved.
Jordan, just keep it up, and you can join your other Jordan soon enough.
I know, man. How fun was that to watch? I keep thinking about what Tucker Kraft just did and what Jordan Love just did and how well they're running the ball. And I think about Tucker Kraft in a mismatch situation against, like, say, Christian Roseboom, for example, and some of these defensive backs who have played really well at times, but also have not really been huge factors in run support either, or catch and run support. I think the middle of the field is going to be wide open all day for Matt LaFleur to try to exploit and maximize this momentum that they have with this tight end that seems to be now turning into the volume one on this team the way we thought maybe a receiver would.
I regretted on Sunday night not making even a bigger deal of what Tucker Kraft just accomplished because the numbers are crazy. So let's just give him his love now.
Let's do it.
The third most yak yards after catch in a game by any tight end since 2006, according to Jacob Gibbs on Twitter. And this season, the most yak per catch of anyone in the league, the most overall. Like, he is that dude. But I think part of that, and I guess I'd have to go back and really watch it, but I think part of this offense becoming whole is Christian Watson. He looked great in his first game back, and he offers something no one else on that Packers team does. I think he really changes the upside of this entire offense.
Yeah, on all of the levels, right? Because you see Christian Watson in the way that these Packers receivers kind of get siloed into certain roles, and he legitimately fills all of them in different spots where when they're all there, because I know that the fantasy evaluation of the Packers is generally, it's frustrating. We don't know where the targets are going. When Christian Watson is there,
right,
the targets are going to Christian Watson. Like it is a constant thing, and we saw him with a great block to spring a touchdown as well. And I think, right, charting guys in their path back from injuries, like, yes, it was a devastating injury, and it's going to take time for him to be 100% fully back, just like it did with Tucker Kraft last year. He was still contributing, but now we see, like, when Tucker Kraft is fully healthy, how different things can be, like, with a full offseason to be able to come at these things. So,
man, he looked back.
Yeah.
He looked so fast. I guess you never know.
Yeah.
But sometimes the guys come back and they're clear, like Christian Darrisaw right now, we mentioned, just Trevon Diggs when he came back. Like, you kind of don't know until you see them on the field. And Watson, maybe it's because if you take 10% off peak Christian Watson, he's still the fastest guy on the field.
Yeah. The very explosive, big, fast player. And what did I say?
You just have a way with words. I'm sorry. I just like how you describe things.
Yeah. He's a large person who runs fast. And to contrast that,
big guy, run fast.
Ross Tucker's game. No, sorry.
No. Let's go over to the Tennessee Titans, where they are facing off. If Gregg Rosenthal likes pass blocking reps, might I introduce him to the starting running back for the Los Angeles Chargers the past few weeks?
Oh,
Amani
okay.
Adele.
Oh.
Out of Troy University, the Chargers are 8.5-point favorites on the road against the Tennessee Titans. The over-under is 43.5. The aforementioned Ross Tucker, along with Tom McCarthy, calling this game, Greg, where we started to see things go right for the Chargers. Are you back on?
Yes, that.
Oh, that was hesitance. Was it not?
Well, it was.
He took a breath.
It's like, whoa.
They're gonna get
to be instant.
I think they're gonna get to their bye at 6-3. and they're coming off statistically their best performance of the Jim Harbaugh era on offense. And I think you saw just the energy that they played with on defense and some of the things Khalil Mack said leading into the week and the energy that he played with, that he is a force multiplier for that defense. So I still have questions there, but when Herbo is scrambling like that, and he has been as effective as any scrambler in the league right now, they just should be a better red zone team, which is almost their number one problem as a team this year, is being better in the red zone. And that was like a great red zone performance. So I'm hoping that reverts to the mean.
I don't really correlate people's personal lives, especially I don't like to do this with players, people's personal lives correlating to their play on the field. I don't think the two are adjacent. I think that football players who play at a professional level are expert compartmentalizers, and they can be a pro and all of that regardless of what's happening in their personal life. But but
took till week 9.
What?
We've been
I want to
waiting.
step on your point.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Justin Herbert's out of the house.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Justin Herbert's out of the house and in the wild. He's at Dodgers games. He's at Lakers games. I think he's dating Madison Beer.
He's at Halloween
well.
parties. Yeah, she's
He's
the
at
common factor of all these.
But he's got
trips.
confidence. And you know what? Like, he's always been an incredible player, but you're seeing more zest for life out of Justin Herbert when he's on the football field. And like, listen, I don't think the two are necessarily 1-1 correlated, but I love this for him. I love all of it for him. His play on the field, I mean, he's got a little like zing to him a little bit more. He's pointing on first downs. He's running more. He's really like lifting what this team can do when he does. And off the field, he's getting outside. He's outside. He's out and about.
I think
good for him.
I was saying 9 weeks till we got to the Madison Beer reference.
we
Definitely
have-
a woman
I was like, what's the trap?
that I'm
What's the
super
trap
familiar with, before this.
but I do think winning has a little bit to do with all of those things. Not necessarily that, because I
It
think
doesn't have to be the cause, but they can be correlated.
because I'm sure Justin had left the house prior to being
No,
with
famously
this pop star.
never left the house. Like famously not
just-
an outside the
He's
house.
like
guy.
Devontae. He has the Taco Bell
Yeah,
inside.
It's inside of his house. I do think it makes us more likely to see him not at the house, considering his relationship status. But it's a better team. I think a better version of the team that's getting healthier. I was not kidding about Kamani Vidal in
he's
pass
awesome.
protection,
Yeah.
where he was like a little portable offensive lineman out there. Where considering like the issues that Bradley Bozeman have had, it's something that they've needed. And as when Justin Herbert is making so many plays out on the edge, it's almost like he feels more uncomfortable within the pocket, where he's not sure.
Out of the pocket.
Yeah, out of the house, out of the pocket. The correlations are all there. It's all connecting. Louis Kaiser Sose, where I think like we've just seen what a breakout for Oronde Gadsden the second.
Oh, I love
Everything's happening outside for Justin Herbert and company. I would like to see the operation inside be a little more succinct for long term. But hey, if it's working out there, it's working.
Joe Alt being back is the number one thing that
it's incredible.
transforms
Yeah.
this team, and maybe even more in the running game than as a pass protector. But certainly both.
I think it's two things. One, yes, having Joe Alt back, incredible. But I think really the transformation that you're seeing is a combination of Joe Alt being back and also Oronde Gadsden emerging as a true double threat tight end. So they can stay in these heavy personnels that they love to use. You can be in 12 the entire game if you want, because you're getting the ability to block the way you want to for Kamani Vidal in the run game. And you're also able to disguise some of your passing looks, and you're funneling a lot of that passing volume through the tight end who you can keep on the field for every down. It's so valuable. It is so valuable to have that guy thriving for this offense and for Justin Herbert, and in tandem with one of the best offensive linemen in the NFL in Joe Alt already in his young career. It's just, I'm back in. Like, I believe the Chargers, I was worried about
You said
him.
the best team in the NFL.
I was worried about him for a while. I still want to see more consistency out of this defense. I believe that can come along too, especially getting a game like this could give them a good opportunity to get some of that confidence back. I didn't say momentum, confidence back.
Winning streak, yes.
Yeah, but I think I'm back. Yeah, on the Chargers, I am.
So this should be, a matchup they should feel comfortable in on defense. I will say, though, that was a very good Cam Ward game last week that I don't think not enough people saw. He threw a late interception or he threw one interception that was like that he would like to have back. But other than that, I thought it was his best game as a pro. Very composed. I think they found 2 dudes in Chimere Dike and Alec Iomanner. Now they might be like a 2 and a 3 or 2, like whatever. But you just found 2 good NFL players. And then, my God, I feel like I'm doing a bad job because not enough people hit me like up on social or anything to ask me, did you see that Tajay Spears game? Because my God, Tajay Spears, talk about coming back from an injury and back with the juice. He looked incredible last week. And that's one of the better, now that Spears is back and moving like that, running back tandems in the league. So I actually feel like there's a little bit of positivity there. I know it didn't show up exactly in the box score, and the defense keeps trading away good players and wasn't very good to begin with. So that part of it's bad. But I do kind of like the difference of Cam Ward the last 2 weeks since they made the coaching change.
I think they're going to be more of a handful for the Chargers defense than people expect them to be. I think they'll make it competitive, especially early in the game. Ultimately, I think the Chargers take this easily, but I like the way Cam Ward has been playing, and you at least see the vision, right? Like I said a couple weeks ago, they're trying stuff. They're seeing what's going to work with this team moving forward, what kind of identity they want from their new coach.
Meanwhile, they asked defensive coordinator Denard Wilson about the trade of Roger McCreary to the Rams, and he was just like, yeah, we started with Roger McCreary and Brownlee and L'Jarius Sneed, and now Sneed's on IR, and the other 2 are playing with other teams, and those were good players. And I was just like, oh, that was about as like, hey, why are you doing this to me, guys? Like, we're trying to win over here. Good luck to the Titans this week. Good luck to everyone playing in the early slate. We have one more preview show. We're going to go through all the late games and the primetime games. So just click over to that one right now, wherever you are. Welcome back to NFL Daily, where we will never get jaded enough to get sick of a Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Chiefs, Bills matchup. Someday the kids that are growing up now will be talking about the good old days when it was Josh and it was Lamar and it was Patrick, and they would play at least once a year, very often twice a year.
It's the SpongeBob meme.
Yes.
It's all of them running around outside and Joe Burrow as Squidward looking through the window.
I'm sorry. I'm not putting Joe Burrow in that group.
Wow.
No, he's looking through the window.
Yeah. No, I know. I'm apologizing to the Bengals fans or whatever. The other 3, it's at a different level. Sorry.
And they're out there. And the Bills have been eliminated in the playoffs by the Chiefs in 4 of the last 5 seasons. They are 7-1 against the rest of the NFL. But this on CBS with Jim Nantz and Tony Romo is a chance at revenge, which they're winning in the regular season.
Yeah, I was going to say, they always do it in the regular season.
The Chiefs, who are so hot right now, are 2.5-point favorites at the Bills. The over-under is 52.5. Greg, we saw an offensive explosion. It was against the Carolina Panthers. How does Joe Brady's unit fare against Spags and company?
I think it's an opportunity to expose some of the Chiefs defense that just hasn't been over the last month plus. If you had told us after like 2 weeks that the Bills, who were, the Desert's favorite team at the beginning of this season, would be underdogs against a Chiefs team, considering how that started, like, it really shows how this season has flipped. But I think the fundamentals of what we kind of know about this matchup and what's good about the Bills, which is that they are a great run blocking team that has great continuity up front, and in general have been able to run the ball against the Chiefs. Certainly in the regular season, they put up that 30 burger. That's not a thing, but it should be. They put up 30 points on them last year, and they keep winning in the regular season. Like, I still think you can beat the Chiefs that way, and I do think they have an advantage there. I think they're going to need to, because they're not as dynamic throwing the ball as they have been in previous years.
Yeah, and why go away from something that's working so effectively? I mean, James Cook is running like he didn't already get the contract, and it's incredible. And it's so fun to watch how this offensive line can just move people. It's awesome. I think that's where you really want, like, the Bills' offense is scoring on 50% of their drives. It's a little bit more than that. That's only a few teams that are doing that. And so I think that and a huge part of it's because James Cook and this offensive line, and also the willingness to actually continue to let this be your identity when other phases of your offense, especially your passing game, has been a little disjointed. Some of it due to injury as well.
In this matchup where the Bills have beaten the Chiefs in Kansas City 3 consecutive times. Like, you got to go back to 2019 for the last Chiefs win at home against Buffalo. And looking at this, right, because I've seen Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs be more explosive this year and less explosive in the run game. They're going to miss Isaiah Pacheco for a large part of the season now. And so in comes Kareem Hunt, who has been able to kind of, oddly enough, like rest up between the 20s and then come in the red zone and get all these scoring opportunities, where in fantasy, like, Kareem Hunt is the back that you want. And now it gets peppered into the offense a little bit more. And I wonder what that looks like on this team that hasn't been able to run the ball against a defense where that's where you want to get the Bills in this situation, is not have Patrick Mahomes back there throwing the ball a whole bunch of times. So it's like this mismatch of styles and circumstances that I think are favoring Buffalo, oddly enough, where I'm looking at this matchup and like, yeah, I want to pick the Chiefs. They're red hot right now, but considering the way things are going, I'm not sure.
That's the Breece Hall team. They need a running back. You can't go with Kareem Hunt the rest of the season.
I
Maybe
agree.
they're a Ramondre team if he's somehow available. That wouldn't really make any sense.
I agree. And you know what? And I will be the first to admit, I've been really critical of the Bills defense, really since the start of the season. I think I've had good reason to be at certain points. But man, am I impressed with this guy, Deion Walker. Because not having Ed Oliver is obviously going to hurt them. That's a huge loss. They're getting a couple guys back, got him back last week. And Michael Hoyt, he's an inside-outside player. He leaned out when he was with the Rams to become more of a pass rusher, but he has the capability to lean back in and play a little of like an even technique interior lineman. And Larry Ogunjobi, who's when he's been good, he's been really good. But this guy, this rookie out of Kentucky, he's got a run stop rate of 10% of his snaps where he's no gain or a loss. And that is among the best of any defensive tackle, second highest among any defensive tackle in the NFL with at least 50 snaps per next gen stats. He is really forming the identity in the middle of this defense, and we'll have to even do so even more with Ed Oliver out.
Like, he's a great example of just take the big, huge athletes.
Yeah, he's massive.
He is incredible looking. And their pass rush was last week, so that's the hope.
Yeah.
They really haven't been ultra dynamic all season, but Rousseau showed up in that game, and Joey Bosa showed up in that game, and Epinesa showed up. Like, it was their best pass rush game of the year. You're going to need it against, the best quarterback in football, once again, Patrick Mahomes. And we're back in a place where we were a long time ago, where, the Chiefs' passing game is significantly more dynamic and multiple than the Bills. It is amazing in the NFL how identities can change so much from one season to the next. And if you're watching on YouTube, like, you just see the space that I think the other receivers are going to open up for Travis Kelce, for Hollywood Brown, like the secondary guys that Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy helped to open up. And I think Patrick Mahomes is really comfortable back there, but it's not like Jalen Moore is a downgrade at left tackle. They did have Trey Smith out last week. We'll see if he's back this week, but that's a big injury to watch. If that continues, if he continues to be out, like that is a place where the Bills, I think, can take advantage. I feel like we're like trying to build the case for the Bills because we don't actually believe it. What do you think?
Well, I mean, Trey Smith was limited in practice on Wednesday.
Okay, so that's a good sign for them.
So there is that. I'm not necessarily making a case. The game, it's a toss-up. Like, at this point, these two teams have so much familiarity. But Ed Oliver, especially through the early part of the season, was the defense. And it didn't necessarily dink because he missed, the majority of the game late against the Carolina Panthers. That was against the 2025 Carolina Panthers with Andy Dalton playing. This is Patrick Mahomes.
That's fair. Andy Dalton with a busted thumb, as we found out.
Four-fingered Andy Dalton.
You should have pointed out. Yeah, that thumb
It's like a band name.
is bothering him.
Four-fingered Andy.
I always look at the opposing linebackers against like a Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid team. I mean, you can do that with almost any good quarterback in today's NFL. And right now it's Shaq Thompson and Tulane great Dorian Williams. Shaq Thompson showed why he was out there last week with that play where he points out this tunnel screen that the Panthers are going to do, and they literally got a pick six in part because he pointed that out. I mean, Epinesa made a great play to pull it off, but do the Chiefs put a circle on both those guys in terms of team speed and expose it with
I think
players that they can flood in the middle of the field.
I think you try to hit the perimeter against this Bills defense a lot because then you're avoiding what actually has turned into strength right smack in the middle of that defensive line. And now, let me say, they still have issues shoring up against the run, but they're playing better to me. And you're avoiding a pass rush that's really come along, and you're getting short, quick passes and screens. Andy Reid has the biggest screen playbook in the entire NFL. Everybody talks about it with such reverence, all these other coaches, and getting these speed players into the perimeter and into the flats. And I think that, first of all, stretches the linebackers wider than they want to be, and it asks the corners to come down and make plays. And I have not seen a ton of proof that they're capable of doing that regularly.
I want to see, too, like, the Chiefs' defense in a tougher spot in terms of their secondary, because I was thinking, like, what's changed since early in the season that we think better of this Chiefs' defense? And a lot of it is they're getting good production from these guys you've never heard of in the secondary, which is what the Chiefs do. They signed Christian Fulton to a big contract. He hasn't played at all. I think he played like 15 snaps and then he got hurt again. But it's Noah Williams, and then their safety group, Cook, Jaden Hicks has been playing pretty well
Williams
out there.
Cal.
Like,
Some people know.
they know now, but maybe this is a game that just
They know now.
makes
There it is.
I gotcha. Makes Josh Allen feel alive, He was coming off that MVP award and Sinners and Love and Marriage, and it's like, can I get as up as I used to be? I think Patrick Mahomes, different people go.
Do we think Sinners was a high for Josh?
Yeah. Well, I know there were some tough lines in it, but I think he was very proud of his life partner and what she accomplished there.
Yeah.
And he got to go on the press tour, and it was fun. And then, like, can you get us up for like a Week 4 game against whoever? No. But these are the games you live for, Patrick. They make you feel alive.
I disagree. I think Josh Allen has been trying hard all of 2025.
Like, I think Shohei Ohtani's been trying hard all along, and yet he's 1,000% more expressive in big time games because I think he's feeling a little more alive. That's what he's doing it for. The big time spots.
Yes, two very good players. Very good at the things that they do. Let's go to Monday Night Football. The Arizona Cardinals at the Dallas Cowboys, who are favored by 2.5. The over-under is 54.5. The consensus greatest player in Texas high school football history returns. What does Kyler Murray do for the Arizona Cardinals? Consensus. It's consensus.
Ever.
It is.
It's amazing.
There's not a lot of people who disagree. I don't want to say it's consensus.
I don't know anything about
8 billion
high
people
school
on the
football.
planet. Somebody in Sri Lanka probably disagrees. What does it mean, Jourdan, for the Arizona Cardinals? Do they want Kyler back?
Well, he's limited. Jonathan Gannon's been kind of playing coy with the media about like whether Kyler is going to be able to go or not, whether it'll be another Jacoby Brissett game. So he's kind of been back and forth with them all week. I'm actually surprised. Patrick, you're the revenge game king. And I'm surprised you did not bring up a key.
Oh, I missed the revenge game.
Jenga piece revenge game. Because on the Dallas Cowboys sideline now, Clayton Adams, the former offensive line coach for the Arizona Cardinals last season when their run game was just absolutely mauling people. On the reverse, now the Dallas Cowboys look like they got a little something special cooking in the run game most of the time. A few exceptions. They're on opposite sidelines.
Ooh.
The Clayton Adams revenge.
And the stats would tell you if you just look at the numbers.
It's inverted.
Like the improvement for the Cowboys and the, just falling through the floor for the Cardinals.
Before injuries.
But
even before injuries.
Right,
yeah.
but the Cardinals and certainly Brian Schottenheimer would say stats don't really matter.
We're a football team that's 3-4-1. You can take the stats on offense and shove them up your ass, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, is what it is. We want to win, and people talk about, hey, MVP and this and that. Dak Prescott doesn't want to win MVP. He wants to win a Super Bowl.
Wait, we're beeping. I was going to
say, did he say a longer word than ass?
No, because this could be a problem for Patrick's idea for a segment, stats to shove up your
The rule is with related to ass. It can't travel.
But these are stats. They're just things that are in your brain. Like that's not. So I don't think that qualifies.
Like Kyler Murray being 42-0 as a starting quarterback in high school.
Unless you were like crumpling up like the piece of paper from like the Bill James baseball abstract.
Yes.
Yeah, that.
If it's literal,
like physical,
like printing out Pro Football Reference pages.
Right. That would do it. I did read Kyler Murray as I look at the bewildered looks behind the glass.
Eric's shaking his head.
Not happy. Kyler Murray,
Lot of
8-0 in Jerry World. 5-0 as a high school player. Got one done in college, too, with Oklahoma. And then there was another game where he was like a backup and ran around. I think, was he on Texas A&M? Or he was on some random team that played there. And then as a pro. So, he doesn't lose here. He probably is
Cliff
starting.
Kingsbury, his former coach.
Yeah.
And the former coach of Cardinals.
That's right. He is expected to play. They are being coy, to your point.
Yeah.
But when the media was out there, he was taking reps with the starters primarily, which he wasn't previously. And they also have made it clear that when he is healthy, he is absolutely the starter. It's a Monday Night Football game, so it just the practice information isn't as complete. But the people covering the team,
Yeah.
I think, fully expect him to play. And I think it could be a big, Trey McBride game, going up against these linebackers. I know it could be a big anything game going against.
Yeah, the Eberflus defense, where it turns out the Washington Commanders having their entire receiver room hurt was a big factor in the defense looking marginally better, because they went up to Denver, and the Broncos left some points on the board, even where there was a drive where Cortland Sutton got a touchdown catch where there was offensive pass interference, and then Cortland Sutton dropped a touchdown pass on the very next day, very next play. There were more points that they could have scored that they didn't, because this defense is what we thought it was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and look, they're starting, rookies at cornerback. Well, who was it? Bridges, that got like an early pick, but Donovan Ezeraku actually is among the league leaders in rookie pressures over the last 4 or 5 weeks, but it's the rest of that pass rush just is not working for them, and that's good. I think Gannon also talked about wanting to play to Kyler's strengths, maybe in a way that they felt like they hadn't enough early in the season.
They were getting pressed on it because Drew Petzing and Jacoby Brissett, who go way back and had known each other, played with each other at previous stops, or Jacoby had played for him at previous stops. Like that, there was a lot of conversation, and we don't remember this as freshly because they had their bye week, but there was a ton of heat coming out of there locally at Drew Petzing, and how much cleaner and easier everything seemed to feel with Jacoby Brissett, and some of the concepts that did play to Jacoby Brissett's strengths, and that they weren't seeing necessarily for Kyler. Some of that is Kyler needing to stand in the pocket a little bit more, but a lot of it was the huge conversation point. So I'm not surprised he came out and said multiple things. A, Kyler is the starter when he's healthy, and B, that they do recognize that they need to actually, adjust certain things to play to Kyler's strengths.
They got to get this game. I mean, the Cowboys could feel the same way at 3-4-1. It's a Monday night game. The Cardinals are 2-5. They have the third hardest remaining schedule according to FTN. And so this is actually one of, if not like the easiest game they have left. They did have some good injury news before we move on. Walter Nolan, their first round pick, has been practicing.
There you go.
He's been activated, off the PUP list, or the practice portion of the activation. He's not on the roster. Same thing with Garrett Williams, who's a good young cornerback. Same thing with BJ Ojulari, who was a good pass rusher, who hasn't practiced since last August. He's going to be probably a couple weeks away. So they could have some players here. And I am curious, if a team could copy whatever Denver did last week, I know they don't have the horses, but in terms of mixing up their coverages and the blitzes, there are a lot of similarities between the Cardinals defense and the Cowboys.
Yes.
And the Broncos
Especially if they get a little extra help in their secondary, especially if Garrett Williams, I know we just don't know.
Sounds like he has a chance to play.
If he does play, but the way that Denver was bracketing around the different receivers, the Cardinals, yes, absolutely, the Cardinals are able to do that and should.
Good luck to the Arizona Cardinals.
I'm clenching my hands because I was going to start yelling again.
No, I was peeking at the injury report because it's crucial for our next matchup. It is the Seattle Seahawks, who are a 3-point favorite at the Washington Commanders. The over-under is 47.5. Mike Tirico, Chris Collinsworth. This is Sunday Night Football, Greg. The Commanders looked good with their backup quarterback earlier in the season. Did not work out against the Kansas City Chiefs. What happens against a well-rested, very good Seattle Seahawks defense?
It's going to be tough, but at least it's going to be tough, apparently, for Jaden Daniels. He is back at practice on Wednesday, and I think they're all cautiously positive that he is going to play this week. Unfortunately, he won't have Terry McLaurin. he has already been ruled out with a quad injury that he suffered, re-injuring his quad in the fourth quarter of that game, which is really
I noticed they're not
frustrating.
calling it a hamstring either. They were calling it that at one point during the game, but they're not calling it that now. And if you already know you're going to sign the player and you would like to avoid recurring soft tissue injuries because that player has had a chance to actually warm his body up through the course of a scheduled exercise training camp, just do it. Just sign the player early.
They've had such a frustrating season, and they're going to be able to blame injuries for a lot of it. But, man, they are just thin at so many different positions that I think could be exposed in this game, whether it's their edge rush group, which is among the league worst. They're now pretty thin at the safety spot, and you think about that versus a Seahawks team that majors in explosive plays, that majors in plays down the field, and you have a Commanders team that has given up among the most amount of explosive plays in the league.
There are two things that I think really kill the Commanders here. It's the Seahawks being not only fast and explosive, but big and explosive as well. Because when they go into their heavy personnel sets, they're also getting these explosive plays out of those types of groupings and formations with multiple tight ends who are able to do this. And also Jackson Smith and Jigba, who's having one of the best seasons, if not the best season of any receiver who's playing right now. And that bodes very, very poorly for a Commanders defense that not only is having trouble containing along the perimeter, but also containing and almost out muscling and out, because they just seem like older and slower to me. And they already came into this team rebuild under Dan Quinn at an advanced age, position for position. And you see guys even getting blocked out of plays that should not be getting blocked out of plays. I hope to see a better plan for a guy like Frankie Louvu, who is one of their more explosive players on defense right now, because when they use him as a spy against a quarterback who can move around a little bit, he is so often getting just mathematically taken out of the defensive plan by the offense that he has not really been a factor. So I really feel like you need to have him at least covering a little bit more in the middle of the field and trying to get some pressure, because they are banged up along their defensive line and they weren't getting a ton of pressure in the first place.
I'm looking forward to seeing, because Sam Darnold has been playing so well.
Mm-hmm.
And the last time, the national audience saw Sam was in the game of the century in the NFC North finale against the.
Oh, I thought you meant Bucks Seahawks 405 a couple weeks ago.
Oh, that was great.
Pretty good.
No,
no one saw
I mean
favorite
everybody.
game of the year so
Okay.
far.
I mean everybody watching on the number one show on television for the past 15 years on Sunday Night Football, and it was a complete meltdown from Sam in that situation, and more people will see just how well he's throwing the ball, how early in some situations, and it's not like a detriment to the Seattle Seahawks offensive line, which I think has played well. Like in that matchup against the Houston Texans, if you're watching on YouTube, the exact play I'm thinking of, where Sam Darnold is getting hit as he throws, and he's already made the decision to throw the ball to JSN. He already knows that JSN has won on the route against one of the better secondaries in the NFL. And if they can do that to the Houston Texans, where I know Marshawn Lattimore got the win, he got a chance to bully Hollywood Brown and got a pick against the Chiefs, but it's tough to imagine them bullying the way that the Seahawks are playing right now on offense and defense.
Laramie Tunsil also out of practice on Wednesday, and man, it's funny. These are two second-year coaches, and you think about how the Commanders got out the gates. But man, there aren't many teams. This is crazy to say with Darnold. There aren't many teams that are in a better position, I think, long term than the Seahawks, because you think of the young players that are developing. Are the Commanders doing that? If you look at their recent drafts, like not a ton, and you have young guys like Byron Murphy who's developing. Elijah Arroyo's becoming a good player.
Nick
Emenworthy.
Yeah, like in the secondary.
We called it third safety. We love it.
Like you're gonna
biggest nickel corner in the history.
Yeah. He's
right.
Like the power slot of like that, which we see from receivers.
Like, and now you don't even know how you're going to use him, because presumably, I think Devin Witherspoon will finally be back for this game, and Julian Love, who hasn't been out there, and they have an identity, they have a system. Man, Seattle -3. That might be coming up on my show with Cynthia a little later in this week. Let's take a break, and we're going to wrap up the Week 9 slate a little later. Yeah, those primetime games aren't that good this week.
What do you mean?
I just mean that
They're all-
the early
What do
games
you
are better.
mean?
The early games are better. They would like to flex. Every Wednesday, we take a journey here, Chris Wesleyan Podcast Studio. We start just as young, innocent people, and by the end, I just feel old and grizzled. We've made it to the end of the line. The last couple of games. Chris Wesleyan, by the way, would really be enjoying this Jonathan Taylor season. That's a completely random thought that just
Yes.
popped into my head, but he loved him some Jonathan Taylor back in that COVID 2020 season.
And a great season that he's having.
He's not playing in one of these two games
No,
coming up.
he's not.
I threw you for a loop
Yeah,
because I wanted to
'cause
test you as a host.
I'm looking down. I will fail that test every single time, Greg.
Don't talk about my friend Patrick that way.
Not a good pop quiz guy. No, your friend Patrick knows. Not his strong suit. The Jacksonville Jaguars had a chance to rest on the bye and maybe a chance to rest here in week 9 as well. 3.5-point favorites against the Las Vegas Raiders. The over-under is 45.5. Chris Myers and Mark Schlereth on the call, but Jourdan, it's different now. Because Tyler Lockett is back with Gino and Coach Pete. What's it going to mean?
Deep sigh from Greg. That was. Did you know you did that? That was very
Yes.
audible. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. It's well, I think we're gonna see a lot from the Jaguars offense. If I can just start there, because this we what I really think is we're gonna see. We always talk about coaches coming out of a bye. We've never seen Liam Cohen come out of a bye week as a head coach and what he can do to make this passing game especially look more cohesive. I've been really impressed with, for the most part, the way that they've been able to run the ball in Jacksonville all year. But this passing game has felt disjointed. Developing a truer identity, I think, for Travis Hunter is big. There's been a little conversation about that over the last couple of weeks of maybe getting him more involved on offense as well. And his target share has gone up over the last couple of games too, while his target share his snap share on defense has gone down. But also, getting all of these receivers on the same page, getting a clean game from Trevor Lawrence. It's all of these things at once, getting this offensive line playing like it started the year as, which I think they can against a pretty decimated Raiders front that only really has Max Crosby rushing the passer right now.
Yeah, I'm curious what the Raiders look like on offense coming out, because the last couple of games before the bye, I wanted to start calling them the don't want to be here offense.
Mhm.
They're just
That really rings off
that-
the tongue.
they just were the I just don't want to be here anymore. They did not look like they wanted to play professional football anymore. They weren't really trying. They won one of those two games, by the way. It was against the Titans, and they didn't let Gino throw the ball more than 4 yards. And then the next week against the Chiefs, is just the energy and the lack of ambition. It felt like they were aiming to be less than mediocre, and they couldn't even get there. And they will have Brock Bowers back. That's obviously just huge. And they will presumably have Jacoby Myers back, who says, yes, I would like to be traded. And
Still.
and maybe he will. That was what I thought the Tyler Lockett signing could be about, but that's a pretty big downgrade if that's what they do.
I don't want to be here. Also famously, the Eric Bledsoe tweet from 2017 when he was done in Phoenix and tweeted, "I don't want to be here," and it worked out. So shout out to that. And I don't want to dump on this game too much because we got the two Heisman finalists from last year facing off against each other, literally, because Travis plays both ways. Unlike in some matchups when we say guys are going head to head, they never see each other. Travis Hunter and Ashton Jeanty could play against each other on the same play. There's excitement there and a chance to see how they incorporate him into the offense a little bit more, perhaps as the primary receiver in some situations here against the Raiders defense where, you can work on some.
I'll believe that when I see it, because he's just been a slot-only guy, and they force-fed him the ball in what was ultimately garbage time against the Rams. And
You can be a primary receiver out of the slot.
sure,
Liam
but
Cohen-
especially in this offense.
Liam
Yeah.
Cohen did that with Chris Godwin a couple of years ago.
I'd love to see it, but he seems like he has further to go. It's the same conversation every week, on offense, than he does on defense, where he's putting up really good reps against Devontae Adams and stuff.
Yeah.
And it is very valuable that he can do that because I think he's their best outside cornerback.
Yeah, that's the consistent problem for Travis Hunter, the wide receiver. It's not technique or reps or understanding the offense. It's Travis Hunter, the cornerback, is the best cornerback for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Well, and that Trevor Lawrence is throwing him the ball, and Trevor Lawrence hasn't been consistently accurate or at least comfortable in this system. So that used to be something Trevor Lawrence was really good at, was pocket presence. When all of his defenders early in his career were like, well, he avoids sack. He's good in the pocket. Like, that Trevor Lawrence needs to come back because to me, he's not good in the pocket right now. He is taking sacks. A lot of the sacks the last few weeks were on him.
And he has the worst completion percentage in the NFL against zone coverage right now. And so this is like, you have to be better when you're a spatial manipulation offense, which is what Liam Cohen wants to be. You have to be better at throwing against zone, and he's just not. And so that's where I'm like, okay, this offensive scheme, especially in the pass game, it's out of the same coaching tree that we see all over the league. It is built to exploit zoning defenses. And when you have a quarterback who is like statistically the worst in the NFL throwing against zone coverage right now, according to Next Gen Stats, like that's a huge problem.
Well, we got Pete Carroll and man-heavy team without a lot of like talent here for the Raiders to hopefully solve.
Yeah.
Maybe they're not man-heavy as
No,
much
they're
anymore.
They're zoning
Yeah.
more. They're 84% of their snaps.
Perhaps a team-wide edict. Sit down in the windows. We're not carrying through
Sit in the windows. Be a pie.
Sit in the windows. You get there. You look for Trevor. You don't move. And then maybe everybody will feel a little bit safer over the middle for the Jacksonville Jaguars. You guys ready to get to our last game?
Sure.
Let's do it.
Sure.
Because Tyler Shuck is going to
worried
start
about it.
He's
for the
Bledsoeing.
remainder of the season. Jourdan Rodrigue taking on the Los Angeles Rams, who are favored by 14 points. They're going to do it at SoFi Stadium. Welcome to the league, rookie. Here's the Rams defensive front. The over-under is 43.5. Kenny Albert and Jonathan Vilma are there. How do you expect this one to go?
What could go wrong, honestly, for Tyler Shuck against one of the most exciting young group of pass rushers and interior defensive linemen in the entire NFL. Also coming off of a bye. Also with their defensive coordinator scheming really well around some deficiencies that they've had on the perimeter without Darius Williams, without Akella Witherspoon. Well, they've had Darius Williams, he's banged up. Without being able to play as aggressive in coverage, that pass rush is getting home. I just think they're going to be an absolute nightmare for Tyler Shuck, who has, in Gregg's words, seen a lot of football.
He hasn't seen a lot from the field, though. You know what I mean? Like, he's seen it from the
This is
sideline.
how you call people old, Gregg.
Yeah, I get it. I just mean Spencer Rattler is a much more experienced quarterback, which is another reason to get Shuck on the field in a way, is that this guy just hasn't started a lot of games in his career, despite that age, because of all the injuries that he had throughout his college career. I think if you're going to look at a positive, and I think he was okay when he came in last week, maybe he'll give these receivers more one-on-one opportunities. Rattler was playing it pretty close to the vest. Now, I don't know if they've earned it. Like, Olave's had a lot of drops. Like, they've lost contested catches. Juwan Johnson's had a lot of drops, but maybe a little daring do, a little throw it up to these guys, because that should be advantage on paper for the Saints in this matchup are the receivers versus those Rams corners.
Should be.
I mean, they're much more talented. Shaheed.
There's been
Olave, Shaheed.
There's been
He's just saying things.
It falls off
Saying words.
a little bit.
Yeah.
Bailey.
For those guys. I do think, because I know there's Bills fans out there who have like Rashid Shaheed dreams. It seems
for
like
them.
the pay structure here, where like it wouldn't make a lot of sense to me for the Saints to trade the one asset that they're not spending a lot of money on.
Right. I keep hearing it's like that teams would want Rashid Shaheed like the most of the Saints. I was like, yeah,
of course.
yeah, he's great.
So would the Saints.
You would think so. This is a big game here, because here's what the Rams haven't done in 8 weeks into the season. They haven't beaten an NFC team. What a weird schedule. They are 5-0 against the AFC. They finished their AFC schedule. They are the champions of the AFC South. They also beat the Ravens in that like one extra game. That's very strange. They're 0-2 in the NFC. They got to start stacking up some conference wins.
Puka Nacua and Rob Havenstein should both be back this week. They're limited early in the week in practice, but Sean McVay told reporters that they're trending in the right direction. That guy has no poker face, so I'm pretty sure he's telling the truth here that they'll be back. This is also, stick with me here, a bit of a Brandon Staley revenge game.
Yeah.
I mean,
But inverted. but inverted because Brandon Staley was the one who got the job over Chris Shula several years ago. And now Chris Shula is coordinating one of the best defenses in the NFL. So it's a reverse revenge game, right? No.
Yeah, no,
It's just a revenge
He
game.
did springboard
revenge
into a
game,
head
yeah.
coaching position because he coordinated Sean McVay's defense. So it's
I
all
am.
good. Everyone's friends.
So, we've been surviving, guys.
Yeah.
We have survived.
We've been thriving, I would say.
with some big names.
Not just surviving. We haven't had to sweat one out.
In fact, you could say, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the top 5 offenses in the NFL. We do not have the Bills available anymore. We don't have the Lions available. We don't have the Packers,
Okay.
the Chiefs, or Danny Dimes in the Indianapolis Colts. So I ask you, if the Coach Shula revenge game against Brandon Staley, are we taking the Rams to keep taking these top offenses? It's gonna be.
Yes.
We're not gonna have a lot to choose from here in a few weeks. Do we want to get risky now or later?
I'm kind of shocked the show with me on it has waited this long to pick the
Yeah.
Rams.
I think it's easy. I was thinking of getting frisky with the Seahawks on the road, but why go
Hubba.
crazy on the road, especially against Jaden Daniels when you have Tyler Shuck at home? I'm sure there'll be some Saints fans here.
Of course.
They're familiar. I saw Tyler Shuck in the preseason against the Chargers. I can't even remember. It was the Chargers.
Oh, he's got familiarity
yeah,
with the facility.
Yeah, he knows what to do. He knows where to
Seen a lot of football.
go to the locker. Yeah, well, let's go Rams. Rams is our choice. Good luck to the Rams. We're all counting on you. We've been on fire all season.
As a team.
And we really are. I think we sweated out like a half with the Bills in week 4. I forget what that game was, where the Titans started out a little fast in that game. And then since then, it's just been like kicking our feet up and just enjoying a big fat blowout. Fun week here in the studio.
And caring a lot.
Yes, but we're not done yet. We learned a lot. We learned about the different ways you can use the word in this show. I think that one is okay. I don't remember. No one's.
It is. Well, yes. Well, it's in the show in that instance. If it was
Yeah.
the Converse, you would
Yeah.
be able to do it.
It's definitely not in the show that's going to be airing on the NFL channel, by the way. We never remind people, but you can check us out on the free over-the-air NFL channel.
If you have Wi-Fi over the air.
Yeah, or whatever. I guess
Not broadcast TV.
I guess that's true.
As much as I wish it
It's on Roku or whatever. You can also check us out on YouTube. We always appreciate if you like, if you subscribe. Leave us a comment on Apple and Spotify. We haven't asked for that in a while. 5 stars, please. We will be back Thursday, and we will be making picks, and we will be talking Thursday night football. Shooky and I will see you then.